Built for the purpose of flooding, to control flooding, for hydropower generation, your electricity that you use. Dam can also be used for irrigation purposes, etc. Welcome research, proofs, and studies. State a high amount of rainfall, flooding follows suit, and flooding is also a natural disaster. You didn't know? Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome. And this is the spot with Chikamake, guys. This is a different one. This is an entire new episode. This is ICS Insights on the Current State, guys. First off, I'd like to state my heartfelt sympathy to everyone going through flooding, everyone that's been affected by the current flooding that is happening today or during this period, guys. So first, I'd like to state that this episode is based on scientific research, proofs, and studies. Stay tuned because today's show is going to be nothing but fun, enlightenment, and entertainment. Also educating, guys. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome back. This is ICS Insights on the Current State on the spot with Chikamake, guys. So first, we all know that whenever there's a high amount of rainfall, flooding follows suit, and flooding is also a natural disaster. You didn't know? Well, now you know. So flooding is a natural disaster, and it happens. I'm sorry about all that is happening, or the cause of it. Man will survive. So man had to come up with various inventions, and one of them is creating or dam creation. Now, what is a dam? A dam is something that is built, or a structure that is built for various purposes. We have different types of dams. I'll just state a few. We have the coffer dam, we have the diversion dam, etc. Now, what are the purposes of dams? Dams are built for the purpose of flooding, to control flooding, for hydropower generation, your electricity that you use. Dam can also be used for irrigation purposes, etc.
Sources say that this is the dam, the Cameroon Dam, which caused the flooding of some cities in Nigeria. It is so sad and disheartening to see some of our cities and places flooded. Once again, I send my heartfelt sympathy and wishes to everyone that was on the receiving end of the flooding. And it is no news that Nigeria has had a huge amount of rainfall this year. And we also know that when there's an excess amount of rainfall, flooding follows suit. And flooding is a natural disaster. What are natural disasters? Natural disasters are events that are catastrophic, and they are caused by atmospheric, geological, and hydrological origins. Man must survive, thus ingenious inventions were created by man, such as dams. What are the main purposes of dams? So dams were created for irrigation purposes, hydropower generation, our electricity, flood prevention or control, for water supply, inland navigation, recreational purposes, mine tailing, etc. Please use your Google for my explanation. We have various types of dams: gravity dam, coffer dam, diversion dam, etc. Now this part is very important. Why are dams built? I was asked this question very recently. Some of the reasons I stated earlier. You can choose to rewind the video, or we could continue on the lecture. So dams are constructed to retain water from the catchment area when it rains and use it during the period of no rainfall. A dam serves as a massive reservoir to cater to the need of fresh water, the water you use daily. Fresh water can be directly consumed, unlike seawater, which has to be desalinated before consumption, that is, when salt is removed. If dams are not constructed, the water which falls through rain will flow from the catchment area into the rivers and then will mix with the seawater. A dam can hold or retain only a particular amount of water. Allowing the water to go beyond the critical limit may be dangerous for the dam as a structure. In other words, the dam could collapse. That is, if water is not released, the water pressure could damage the structure and a huge calamity can occur downstream, leading to a catastrophe. So if there's an excessive amount of rainfall and water reaches its threshold, meaning beyond the critical levels, even if there's a flood-like situation downstream, it becomes mandatory to release the water from the dam and maintain the water level below critical levels at all times. Another question: why don't they release it before it gets to the critical limit? Now, also releasing water before it reaches the critical limit is not warranted, as it poses no potential threat to the dam structure or elsewhere, except you have habitants residing within close proximity. But also, if the water is let out before time, there's an insufficient inflow of water into the dam. That is, if the water is let out before time and there is an insufficient inflow of water into the dam, then that would be an issue, as the dam would not be able to function to the expectations. The water level of a dam increases based on the water inflow, which is directly related to the rainfall in the catchment area. Though the weather forecast exists, no forecast is 100% accurate because of this very reason. The opening of the gates of a dam or reservoir follows a predetermined sequence of activities based on the level of water in the dam. Unless and until the water level crosses the trigger point, this sequence of activities does not get activated. If the gates of the dam is opened on the assumption of continued inflow of water and this fails to happen, this would lead to a serious problem. If it is a hydroelectric dam, the electricity generation will be affected. If the dam is meant for irrigation or for drinking water storage, it can lead to water shortages, which will have a much more severe impact than the floods. The problem with this plan is, if the rainfall becomes too heavy, it will lead to a much higher increase in water inflow than anticipated, and this in turn will increase the amount of water released, leading to flooding like what we are currently experiencing. To reiterate, the dam reservoir needs to be released when the water is beyond its maximum capacity. Otherwise, the dam would collapse and this scenario would be catastrophic. That is why there are certain areas that shouldn't be habited by the people. The government tells the people, aside that, before a dam's reservoir is released, a notice is usually given so that the information can be passed on. In this case, it has been stated that there was no prior notice given by the releasing country. Whose fault is it? On the cause of current flooding and repercussion? I'll leave that to you to respond. To all the flood victims, please accept our heartfelt sympathy. We cannot imagine what you're going through. Please stay strong. There shall be better days ahead.
Well, I think I've said quite a few. You can rewind if you didn't get that, or you can. Let's move forward. Let's continue. Okay, so usually when dams are created, the dam is created to hold water in order to stop the water from overflowing, which is like the control of floods. Because if that doesn't happen, we would have a lot of places will be flooded. These dams are created in catchment areas, and most of the times the government tells people not to live around that area. So now, normally, someone also said, "Oh, why should the dam? Why should they? Why should the water be released from the dam?" So these dams are built, and then there's a reservoir. The reservoir is released so that this can also, okay, so the dam is created, the reservoir is made to hold water. Now, when the water reaches its critical limit, it is released. If the water is not released, it can cause the dam to destruct, and that can be disastrous. It can be catastrophic. So that's why it's released, and it's better that it's released rather than not. So now when this happens, before this happens, usually a notice is given. Now it's been stated that the notice wasn't given before the dam was released, or before the reservoir was released, thus the current flooding that we're facing. So guys, I think I've said what a few, I've explained why the dam is created, its purpose, and why it's released. It's very, very important that we have dams. It's important that it's always also released. And I'm sorry about what is happening concerning the current state of flooding, but it's something that is inevitable. The flooding is not happening because of certain things where it happen. No, sorry. It's natural. It would occur. The dam was created, or is created, to control flooding. When it's released, it happens, but if it's not released, it can cause something worse than what you're actually seeing now. The problem now is that certain areas are not supposed to be habited. When those areas are habited, when people are staying in those areas, when the water comes that way, definitely it's going to be flooded. The area is going to be flooded. So now I'll pose this question to you. Who is the cause of the current flooding? I'll leave that answer for you to respond. Guys, so thank you very much. I hope I've been clear, but if I haven't been clear enough, please ask Google. So next time, guys, take care, stay tuned. Please keep coming back. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, like, share, comment. So next time, bye.